Three down, one to go. There we go. Almost got that wrong at the beginning. Hello and welcome back. Getting ready to go into our final game of the day, which is going to be Ruddy versus Nativz. We've had two very banger games going on, but I'm going to be real with you. Nativz right now are 0-9. It's not been a great season for them. Ruddy are defining themselves as at least the third best team in the league right now. And there is an argument to be made that potentially they could take that second spot after beating Ruddy yesterday. Not Ruddy, sorry, they are Ruddy. After beating Riddle yesterday. So I am excited to see what this is going to be looking like. Now, as we get into picks and bans, one thing I do want to note is I know No Name is a Lee Sin player. He's very happy that Lee Sin's back in the meta. And you were noting yesterday that No Name is finally stepping up because you kind of highlighted him as maybe the underperforming member of Ruddy. And it feels like finally he's starting to come into his own. As a champion we know that he plays has come into the meta. Maybe Nativz just ban it out.
Yeah, I think maybe, but I also think that No Name performed phenomenally on that Sejuani, so I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Sejuani early pick, because he just looks so damn good on it, right? That was against Riddle, managed to find loads of gank angles, and potentially what they do is they play towards topside again with that Sejuani plus melee combination. I do think, and what I was going for there with like the No Name point was, I do think No Name is kind of indicative to how well the team plays overall. Jungle in itself has a really important role, but I think if No Name has a bad game, it feels like the team just can't get off the right foot. You know, it feels like it's really hard for them to play. Anyway, I think the biggest champions that are on the board right now still are like, I'm surprised Maokai's still up.
Yeah, I was about to say Maokai.
Sejuani, Elise, all of the jungle pool is still up. So it's pick of the litter, whichever one you prefer. Lots of teams prefer Elise, you know, we'll have to see. I know Hidon, the coach for Ruddy, is a big Elise player, so maybe they'll have some bias there. But then you'll see what they handshake with. So what champions are pinched now, it's probably not much point banning out another jungler, because then you handshake two anyway. But it does look like that safe pick in the Cassante banned out against Rifty.
Very interesting drop. I don't think I've casted a Maokai in this league.
Really?
I'd like to see his ban rate, because he's got to be pretty low pick rate, because of how much he gets banned. So he's always, it's one of those champs that like I just kind of forget is in the meta because he's permabanned in most of the games I watch or even cast. But let's see what the answer is going to be out, because like the Zeri Lulu is up and available, the Elise is up and available. There's a lot of things that have been left open due to the way that the draft has gone down. They're locking that Elise here for the side of Nativz. If they did want to go for the Zeri Lulu, they could lock in one half of that now and then see what gets traded out on the other side. Obviously, if you do pick up the Zeri or the Lulu, the other one can get picked up on the other side. There are still things that go with it. So looking to maybe combo up with that Elise here, lock it in something that can kind of either start the CC train or at least enable those Elise ganks in the Nautilus here.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Jace picked up here as the flex pick towards Ruddy, because Jace plus Maokai is a really potent combo. Plus you get the flex potential. Jace works really well with Maokai because you have a sapling, the enemy walks into a sapling, they get slowed, and that slow allows them to get hit by the Jace Q, right? So they're just suddenly they're like 0 HP. That's why it's really picked up. Often you pair it up with something like a Varus 2, but they ban that away. Does look like they're going to look in the Jace. I wouldn't be surprised to see more disengage and more poke locked in. Stuff like this is kind of on theme.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what the final pick is going to be. I'm assuming it's probably going to be an AD carry, because that pool will get heavily pinched with the Ashe, the Caitlyn, and the Varus already banned away. If they don't pick it one up here, expect it to get even picked up. And that is old school, baby. The Nautilus Kai'Sa, a pretty potent combo, which we used to see so much back in the day. You know, with the Void stacks being applied by the Nautilus landing the CC, that is a scary bot lane. I know they've got a Sivir, which gives Denvoxing a level of safety, but like early, if that spell shield is burnt or isn't up and available, and you eat a hook into a cocoon into a just full Kai'Sa, you are guaranteed to die there. So I am excited to see what the answer will be out. From the side of Nativz, they are just looking to ban out their supports, taking away the Lulu, denying that. On the other side, I'm curious what Ruddy are going to look to ban away here. Probably things that can handle this Jace in either top or mid.
So I'd expect to see maybe a Braum ban out for Nash, because, okay, so the big reason is, or potentially, honestly, a Rakan, because he's so damn good regardless of how they're playing, but the themes of the draft is a really important concept, right? What does Ruddy want to do right now? Well, they have so much poke and disengage, and I think they want to like pick stuff that goes with it. Braum in isolation also works really well with this into this Nautilus and this anti-engage too, because if you think about what Nativz want to do, they want to dive in, right? They have a Nautilus hook in, followed by which like lands the plasma, which allows Kai'Sa to dive in as well, right? So I think you want to ban counters to that. Braum is up. I think you either go Braum, or if you just want comfort again, Nash on this Rakan just seems to do well regardless of composition. Is always good. We've seen such crazy plays. The Renekton ban's really interesting. It indicates to me like priority, like the Jax, Fiora, but Fiora's banned, so I imagine the Jax is a high prio here. But once again, not too sure.
Well, they are running down the timer a little bit, running through a few options. I'm assuming we're going to see a top laner and not a mid laner get picked up here, as just shifting through what they've got. We'll see what the answer is going to be. Again, a flexible pick here. Actually, Aurelia can go mid or go top lane. Bit of an interesting face from you there, Aragon. What's your thoughts?
I think it's ambitious, right? I think Aurelia is it's incredibly hard to pilot. I've never seen Spuda play Aurelia, so I think it's pretty confirmed in the mid lane. We are less certain on what Scuffed's champ pool is because we've seen him less. He's a new substitution, came in last week. And I don't think Spuda plays it. Maybe he has picked it up because of the counter into the Jace, but I really do think it's gonna be mid lane. Yeah, it's gonna be mid Jace versus mid Aurelia and the Jax, like we said, and the Braum.
Yeah, actually, they're kind of toggling through a few different ideas here, but I do like the idea of a front line, like a Sion or Ornn, someone who can basically just make sure that Jason's here don't go touched. They could go split pushing on the side as well. I believe Fiora has been banned. Yeah, so Fiora has been banned, and it looks like they would rather lean into that split pushing side. So Rifty picking up a Rifty champion in the Jax here. I mean, I guess they do quite a lot of frontline with the Maokai and the Braum as it is. So maybe they didn't need a third tank. Yeah. We'll see what the final answer is going to be out here. Again, expecting Scuffed to be playing that Aurelia, looking for an answer in the top lane. See what they do go for. I saw your face at that Camille, and I did agree. When he goes helicopter, Camille can't queue, so probably not the best pick up there. I'm going to go for the Gragas instead. Much better matchup into the Jax. So your main damage doesn't get blocked by a single ability that way. Yeah,
exactly. And the reason why I was also confused, like the reason I considered Spuda might even pick Camille, because I don't even think he's a Camille player, is because it was on theme with the draft. You just dive in. Right, that's why. But Gragas also works. We know Spuda can play Gragas. It's also a good matchup into the Jax, so that also makes sense. This composition that Ruddy have drafted is very akin to Mad Lions' composition in the LEC recently, where they drafted solo AP Maokai plus Poke, and it actually worked really well. The Maokai typically goes something like Night Harvester, Ludens, or something into Demonic, or they just go Demonic full tank, but it's enough AP in general, and they managed to make it work around team fights. So I see the potential here. I definitely see the potential for Ruddy, and but it's definitely on Nativz to find those engages and actually make them work, because Ruddy have a lot of disengage.
Yeah, they really do. It's going to be a good game, though. We'll see what they can do with it. I think, when we do look at it on paper, we do have to just go, nameplates off. Ruddy are performing, Nativz aren't. I think that's one of the things we do kind of have to hit on. Obviously, Nativz bringing in a new mid laner. We haven't seen so many games from them. Maybe this is the kind of golden goose for this team. It's been a while since I've seen an Aurelia as well, off the top of my head. I can't remember the last Aurelia, actually, I saw.
It's a while. And there's a reason for that. It's incredibly hard to pilot. I think we only ever see like LCK tops maybe pull it out. I think we see one in NA and it just goes 0-18 sometimes. But
sounds like my Aurelia.
It's me too, don't worry, I don't have the hands for that. It goes really badly because the champion is incredibly easy to gank, right? It also has a lot of potential, but it's just so difficult, right? Like it's so difficult and hard to carry with and actually translate leads with as well, right? Yeah, you can flash R in and try to make fights happen that way, but you're pretty gated by having minions and overall a pretty mechanically demanding champion.
Yeah, absolutely. There are still avenues within this team. I think, that bot lane is terrifying. You also got the elites. You can set up for that Aurelia. You got a really, really solid 2v2 when you've got the Elise and Aurelia. Just CC into lockdown, into the resets on the queue. Even prior to 6, that is a really burst heavy bot lane. So I'd like to see, mid lane. I'd like to see a bit of the jungle mid synergy here coming out from Nativz. On the other side, it was Lee Sin and Jace. Still very solid as well. I mean, both sides, when you look at the amount of abilities they'll have a lot, because Jace and Elise get extra abilities by having their ultimates, which allow them to shift form and gain new spells. I remember years ago. Remember when it was Elise?
Oh, wait, someone flashed
for a short period of time.
I think someone just flashed level 1. Am I trolling? No,
crazy.
I'm crazy. I am just seeing things. But yeah, carry on.
Aragon, if you look on the left and the right of the screen, there's every champion, and you can see there's summoner spells.
What did
and
I
runes.
see? I must have seen something. I have no idea.
You heard the sound of the turret loading in.
Yeah, maybe. I
Did
don't
you
know
make
what that was.
a
I'm
fairly
dreaming.
boomy sound, to be fair, a bit like Flash. But yeah, you know, I think actually, so it's not Lee Sin, it's Maokai. It's Maokai,
Sure.
Jace. Ooh,
It's
I
a
don't know
nasty
who's stronger. I don't know. That's two very strong jungle mid synergies. I don't want to see Nita or Scuffed in lane at all. I want to see them moving around the map.
Yeah. So
Give me that action.
I think what we're probably going to see, if this goes the way Ruddy wants it to, is what we're likely to see is very disciplined and slow gameplay revolving around objectives. Because how Maokai functions is he essentially just wants people to come into him. Our objective is on the objective on time and has like flanks covered with saplings, everywhere covered with saplings, and to kite back with saplings. Usually you can tell which team's going to win if they have a Maokai, if the sapling coverage is there. If the Maokai is coming late, usually that team's loses, because his new identity is like a poke champion that kind of guards with vision, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm expecting to see if they play properly. Ruddy, they seem to be a really disciplined team, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they just do that. There's no action early game because they really don't have that much playmaking. There's like no setup outside of a counter strike or a counter gank in the bot lane. So yeah, slow game incoming.
Expecting that to be the case, but you never know. It is Ruddy. They are a team who sometimes do like to just go a little bit ham at times.
Ooh,
So
that was nice.
We'll see. Ooh, yeah. However, you know, it's Denvoxney, and he's also on a scaling champion. So the scaling AD carry player on a scaling champion is probably 300-400 CS before Denvoxney walks out of bot lane at this rate.
Yeah, I mean, recently it does seem like Ruddy are leaning towards more scaling. You know, it does seem like that, but maybe that's just the way these couple of drafts have gone. I do feel like they probably can play like different variations of compositions. It just feels that way because most of the time they've got Nash on like a Rakan who doesn't do anything for a long time. But then when he is unlocked, he'll just find amazing hooks. That was a nice reaction. I couldn't do that. AD carries are something else.
That was honestly the most insanely fast reaction.
Because it's out of bush, right? You can't see you only see it when it's like leaving the bush, man. It could never be an AD carry.
Denvoxney's got the hand still.
It does.
No, I think I'm actually too old to play AD carry. I'm so bad with attack space, like auto attack based champions nowadays.
I completely feel for that, man. I'm a bit concerned. I'm really concerned for Sibel. Sibel, because usually what you do in this meta is like you pick perm pushing bot side and you dive bot and become a complete nuisance. Side note, she's usually stronger on blue side as well because you can get to bot earlier. You know, like red Wraith's Krogs, and then you just go bot lane. But because you're on blue side, and then also because you have no real playmaking, you have no push and dive potential. You can't dive a Braum. Your role becomes just to facilitate a bridge towards getting to mid game. Right, you are a bridge to mid game, but then mid and late, but you have no real scaling to bridge to. So I just feel like this Elise has no playmaking potential. On top of having no insurance that she's bridging to. You understand? It just doesn't feel
good. No. It's actually interesting. Baloo roamed mid to make sure that Scuffed didn't lose too many minions under tower. Big thing to note, Scuffed has taken Ignite when Nita took Teleport. That is him saying, I want to find solo kills in lane.
Yeah.
Does he do that? Is that a thing that happens versus Jace?
I think it's a bit brutal too, because you can see the CS deficit because of that, right? I guess she is going to pick up a wave here, but that is adding up. Those base AD buffs coming in for Jace right now, like really stacking up. Nita does look competent on this Jace. We have seen it before. He does die a couple times, but that is typical. Honestly, that's the Jace tax. He's so easy to gank. I wouldn't be surprised to see another death come in at level 6. There's really not much a Jace can do. There's a whole minigame of like keeping your flash as Jace versus Aurelia, because if you do not have flash by the time you're level 6 and Aurelia throws an ultimate at you, you will just die, right? You need to be able to flash that initial one. I don't think anything is going to happen here.
Maybe if that cocoon lands, but remember, it is Elise. I think actually with Spuda taking too much damage, that's not doable. But remember, Elise is very good at diving because of her ability to reset at the final moment with that E. But I think Spuda getting chunked basically dissuaded that gank.
Look at that CS deficit topside. Like, Spuda got a counter pick, and he's down 20 CS at 5 minutes.
Word.
It's absolutely brutal. I don't know what's happening topside, but it should not go this way. This technology coming out from Rifty with the grasp of the dying Jax might just be too much for him, or he's misplaying the matchup in general. I'd probably lean towards that way.
Look, I know you're a man of culture like me. I know you're a grasp enthusiast.
I am. I do
Grasp
like it
is
a lot.
such a good. It's such a good rune, man. It comes with its own mini game. I love
Little
it.
dopamine hit every single time you auto the enemy. I take that. You know.
Yeah. Oh, I get more health, and they also take a little bit of bonus damage as well. I love it. Oh, doesn't get it that time though.
Tries to engage
on Jax as well. It's a bit like GP as well because you get the empowered W auto. There it is with the grasp and the sheen. It's actually really brutal.
Yeah. No, it's completely brutal. I mean, he's also sitting on Sheen, right, like you said, and it's just at this point, probably without grasp. The idea is that he can't extend lethal tempo trades into it.
Oh, scuffed.
Managed to land the Q from Nash.
Does try to get in. He's got the ultimate, actually hit 6 in the meanwhile. Scuffed gets jumped onto as he's trying to finish. Nitro bopped into the tower. First blood to No Name.
And I don't know how Nash managed to land that Q through all the minions and through all the champions onto Scuffed. He managed to land it. I really hope we see a replay of that because that must have been absolutely threaded the line, threaded a needle. This is just the power of using Braum to counter engage, right? You have Aurelia dash in. I can see, oh, unfortunately we didn't see the beginning of it, but Aurelia dashes in and he just gets stunned. And this is why I really like Ruddy's draft. It's extremely intelligent. It counters everything Nativz wants to do because Nativz want to go in and that's all they can do. And they just have the best disengage in the game in Braum. Right, incredibly good stuff.
Really, really nice, and that's a good start there. It's stun already stack up. There's a CS lead in the top side, a CS lead in the bot side. Mid's equal, whatever. But sorry, no. Top mid and top have CS leads. Bots equal. That's kind of whatever. Then Voxney is getting jumped onto. Remix isn't level 6 though, so this is very hard for them to actually do anything. If Remix was 6, he probably could have pulled the trigger there and jumped onto Den Voxney, but unfortunately, not going to be the case.
Yeah, and be followed up with, but exactly. Followed up by Remix with Baloo's ulti as well. But, like you said, not going to happen. I don't think Sibel was in range too, and this is the problem, right? It's just so hard to find picks, because now you've got the spell shield to block everything too. I don't know how you'd be proactive in this case as Nativz. I think it's incredibly hard draft gap, and now Den Voxney's wave clear is just coming in with this Noon Quiver, you know? And I think you've just got to pray for team fights. Some kind of miracle engage. Rifty just lane kingdoming over here, holding this freeze, managing... He's going to be able to hold this indefinitely. There's no way Spudo can contest. I hope Rifty notices. Decides he doesn't care anyway. But I think he could have held a freeze there because Spudo was right? He was completely out of mana and he has no TP. So Rifty decides against it, decides it's not worth it, and he's just going to push out the wave.
It's just going to relax for now. There's No Name.
Starting up Herald.
Do himself the Rift Herald. It's feeling quite comfortable. First Maokai I've seen in one of our games, at least.
Is it actually?
Finally doing something.
Like,
I'm pretty sure it's the first Maokai me and you have had all season.
Oh, wow.
There's probably been Maokais across the season. I've not been able to watch every game, unfortunately. But I'm pretty sure this is our first Maokai. I think he's been permabanned. Oh, lovely.
Nothing
to be fair, Scuff played that well, but then he loses his entire health bar. And in comes the Twisted Advance, actually. Is going to connect onto a couple of members. They are getting the CC up. Goes the Spider. Down comes Siebel. And he flashed, but he didn't need to because his Spiderlings blocked the Winter's Bite.
And the chain CC is just so brutal. You get tagged by one of anything, you know? You get tagged by a Braum Q Winter's Bite, a Maokai Slow or a Root. You are dead, right? You can't move. And this is the really big problem picking Aurelia here. I really dislike it. You just can't play. And it just feels like Scuffed has too much power to work with. He dashes in and it just looks fancy, but, you know, he can't move. It's just not great. With a nice little trade. I think he dodged out on the body slam there, which is crucial. Really, really good stuff. And he is maintaining and extending that lead. It was 20 CS before, now it's 30.
Oh, that is a big lead. That is a really, really monumental lead, actually, up in that top side. And Spuda, I don't know if they can even really put the attention into that lane to try and get it, because they tried, but Rifty has the lane exactly where he wants it. He's nice and safe. He's not really under any threat right now. Yes, there's level 6, and maybe there's a world where Spuda can cask him away from his tower, but I think Rifty actually has popped the Grandmaster's Might. There's Spuda's ultimate. Does have that flash. He's going to go in with a Q. Flash out from Spuda to make sure he's not under any threat of death.
And if you look mid lane, there's loads of action. I think the Nativz have a really hard time ahead of them. You can see Siebel desperately trying to make plays all over the map. If I was Siebel here, unless this is incredibly free, you can see Rifty's HP bot, but he can just TP back. If I'm Siebel, I'm never touching top lane. Because you got to ask yourself, at this point, like, in these kinds of games, who is going to win you the game? right? Is it going to be the Gragas who already has a deficit, and if you gank them, they're just going to end up even? Or will it be a miracle like Kai'Sa fight? You know, I really think I would be putting my resources down to Kai'Sa here, because a Gragas is never really going to win you the game.
Oh,
I think this is just an oof. I think they're going to die here.
this is such an oof. They do try and jump away. The counter-strike doesn't quite hit him. But that was 2 versus 4, effectively. And No Name and Rifty hold the line.
That demonic embrace coming out now. Those saplings are going to hurt, and you can actually expect every single dragon to come out the way of No Name now, as long as he's on the objective early. Something to keep in mind, like I said, preparation on the objectives with a Maokai is the most important thing. They have to come into the Maokai, otherwise he loses, because he cannot go forward. If he goes forward, he hates it, because he's super squishy with his demonic embrace build. He's not actually a tank, right? He needs a frontline, and that's why they've opted for something like a Braum, which can tank for him.
Well, sapling. Almost catching onto Blue. Scuff getting pretty heavily chunked out here. Does have his ultimate and balloon nearby, but they are just going to chill out for the moment. Lots of pings going down towards the bottom side. And these saplings are just going to make sure that any trip through the river costs you your life. Remix throws the W down, spots out that he's in danger, and just supercharges away. He does not want to be dealing with that. Rift Herald goes down on the bottom side. Demvoxy, who has just been free farming up. This is Demvoxy's dream. All of the attention's been mid and top and not bot lane. He just wants to farm and get tower plates, and able to get free for himself off the back of that. Demvoxy is a happy boy right now.
And they just can't make plays anywhere in return, right? Like, Nativz, whenever you give up towers, whenever you give up dragons and bot side control, you want to make a play topside or something. But because they only have a neutralizer topside in Gragas, you really can't make a play. On top of that,
first tower?
Yeah, he's definitely getting first tower. And on top of that, Rifty has Merc Treads already. Right, so if he gets stunned up, he's just getting out of there, right? He can dodge most of the stuff. He's incredibly tanky. Jax is super hard to dive, so there's never any cross-map plays. And that Dirk Spike coming in with that Caulfields with points in Q. At level 9, you've pretty much spiked as Jace, right? You have so many points in Q. You've maxed out your Q. Your poke is going to hurt, right? And we just saw that there. He's just completed Eclipse. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, that was pretty rough there. Huge Q coming in. They've got themselves a Cloud Drake still up, but not really prioritizing the Dragon. I think Ruddy feeling comfortable with the gold lead they've already got for themselves and don't feel like they have to make any, you know, overzealous plays about being fully set up. They made sure that they injected as much gold into their AD carry as possible. Look at that lead in the AD carries between Remix and Demvoxy right now. Spooder is going to get himself caught out. The counter-strike does connect. Rifty's getting himself in danger. Doesn't have the Grandmaster's might. Eating quite a lot of damage. The cast goes pops and Rifty goes down. Spooder able to find the kill.
Managed to find the chain CC, and Spooder once again, the only person on his team with a lead. Every single game it does feel like this way. Sometimes it's solo kills, sometimes he gets resources, but often it comes down to him. Come mid-game, he ends up grouping with his teammates. He has to find the place and he has to push his lead. And we'll have to see what he does, but it's going to be difficult.
I think Demvoxy just got another 2 plates mid. I don't know if Nitro had already taken a plate there, but
look at his items.
This guy is super rich, by the way. Like, absolutely insanely rich. 6.2k gold is how much he's had this game versus the 4.7 on Remix.
Compare
got
the
a Kraken
items.
Slayer. And Remix also bought a BF sword because he wanted to upgrade that Q as quick as possible. So he's detoured in his item build to make sure he upgrades his Q. Luckily for Nativz, there is no tower plates anymore. So Demvoxy can't just get that without get bonus gold without taking a tower for himself. But Dragon secured for the side of Nativz.
Yeah. First Dragon going down, not the biggest deal. Ruddy, personally, I completely agree with Ruddy. I think they're doing the right thing, valuing taking that first turret, snowballing their gold over to Demvoxy. I think a fight's coming out now.
Look at Remix. He might get himself caught out, able to flash away to safety. Spooder is in low HP. Nita flashes forwards. There's going to be a kill onto the support. They also take out Spooder. Remix is low, and No Name finishes him up with a flash and twisted advance forwards. Absolutely flawless. Meanwhile, PvE player Demvoxy on the top side takes a tower.
It's just a massacre, isn't it? Typically, you'd associate these champions with disengaging, but they are using them to engage and find picks, especially using those flank angles. You can see Nash coming in from the top side, and Maokai, No Name on this Maokai, running forwards. They are so far ahead now, they can actually do whatever they want and play however they want, and they will win. Scuffed taking a small consolation prize, trying to take bot lane tower, but ultimately, it's a rough trade.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Denvoxy got a tower to himself, top side. He's now got almost his Navari finished up, while Remix still hasn't finished an item. I hate to be that guy, but can we look at the gold leads individually again? Just want to see where we're at. Yeah. I mean, Denvoxy has 2 levels on Remix at 15 minutes and almost a whole 2 items over him. This is not what Remix wanted in this game.
Yeah, these are some brutal leads. And on top of that, you put that in context, right? How is he going to dive into the enemy team now? Being behind, diving into a Brom is just suicide. It actually is. It's incredibly difficult to do. And if he wanted to do that, he probably needed to snowball early game and be really far ahead. But how could you? You can't snowball with Nautilus into Brom. This is why I was in Champ Select. I was begging for a Brom ban, right? But they didn't do it. They decided, you know what? We're gonna let them have it. We're gonna make the enemy team completely undiveable and not be able to snowball and have a lane to play through with our Elise.
Seaball's now being denied his jungle, as Denvoxy is going to just take this red buff away from him. May actually just give it over to No Name. They've got no smite, so this is a little bit harder for them. But Seaball loses a lot of HP. Scuff's getting jumped onto. Remix slides in. They do throw down the depth charge. Remix gets a bunch of damage off, but that's going to be 1 kill. That's going to be 2 kills. Double kill picked up for the Jace. A big shock blast would get him the Quadra, but they are going to be able to just settle for this dragon. Rift Herald's still in their pocket.
I think this might be our shortest game of the day. I do see a Baron going down and turning into a game. We'd see this replay here, what happens. Just look at that damage from the Demonic Embrace Maokai. This is the value of it. This is why it's permanently banned. Take a look at Denvoxy here. Managed to flash away. Remix tries to dash in to punish Denvoxy, but afterwards, Denvoxy can just free hit. The entire team is so fed that they can just do whatever they like, and they're almost unpunishable, it feels like. And now you can imagine that Denvoxy is coming out of base, yeah, exactly, with his 2nd item completed, whilst Remix is still Build-A-Bear with these components.
Actually, that is actually savage.
Brutal.
I didn't notice there was a 2-item lead now on Denvoxy over Remix. Yeah, Remix is fun in the funny side of it.
Laugh.
That was manic laughter. That was pure
Smiling through the tears.
Yeah. If I cry in the rain, then you can't see the tears. Rifty getting himself locked down. Are they going to 4-man Rifty?
I think he's dead.
Rifty, he's got the counter strike. The CC's coming in. They are going to cancel out the tower shot. He gets bopped back. Rifty ward hops away. In comes Spoon with a belly bop. And down he goes. But not before chunking the 4 of them. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Ruddy get the charge out onto the tower. They're going for an inhibitor tower. We are 18 minutes in. They are going to get the inhib charge out. They've got the wave to work with. This may just be an inhibitor at 18 minutes. If this inhib falls, there it goes. We've now got Dragon in 1 minute 40. They got super minions pushing for them for the next few moments in the bot side. This could easily be a 20-minute Baron.
No, 100%. They're confident. They're taking this inhib and they're saying they're confident. We're going to close this game out. We're not funneling you more gold with these super minions. We're going to close this game out with these inhibitor. This pressure is going to convert into a dragon, into a Baron. You can see them all moving topside with Jax.
Oh, Jesus.
And you just know after that play, Rifty's in comp saying, send more top. You know, something along these lines, because I would be. You send 4 top lane and you lose everything, your entire base.
Quick snapshot of the items. Denvoxy has just finished up his Zeal as well. So he's 2.5 items. My screen has gone black. I don't know about you guys. Oh, sitting in the darkness. Yeah, that was... This is rough. I did see that there was a base coming in, though. So I'm assuming the class is going to finish up their item. Yeah, this might be a bit of a fast one. I don't want to be that guy, but we kind of expected that coming into this game, to be fair. We had the expectation that this was going to be a pretty fast game in favor of Ruddy. Ruddy, fresh off beating Riddle, if they lost to Nativz, they should probably just forfeit their spot in the league. I'm going to be toxic and say
that is mean, dude. Okay.
Don Jake, I hope you hear me.
Dragon going down. You can imagine they're just heading straight over to Baron now, right? There's no way they don't. Someone has to answer our bot side. You do have Spooder answering our bot side with that teleport, so potentially a Hail Mary play onto this Baron. trying to find any pick you can. Maybe you find a Dream Baron as well. And even then, you're probably just even in gold, if not still 5k behind, right? It's really, really brutal. But yeah, Baron started, 20-minute Baron, you called it.
Yeah, on the dot. I mean, Denboxy's 2.5 items. He's got the Zeal, he's got the attack speed. This Baron will melt like butter. Siebel, his one moment to shine. The Elise hasn't had the pick potential they wanted, but then comes the Glacial Fissure, and the health bars are already low. The Twisted Advance is taking everybody down, and in comes Jace to the skies. Down they go. Scuffed is out as well. 4 for none in favor of Ruddy. An absolutely flawless fight coming in from the Ruddy boys.
It's absolute carnage. No Name's ultimate comes through and just tears everyone in half. I didn't even notice where their health bars went. I hope we get a replay of that because I want to see how fast they just get melted. Look at those items on No Name. I believe he just ults and half hits someone. Could be misremembering, but you can see Nash is just so tanky, and they don't anticipate that. They tried to burst down Nash, but it just doesn't work out. Look at this.
Oh my God. That is so
full AP
unhealthy.
Maokai. This is something you normally only ever see do this much damage in ARAM, but it's invaded Summoner's Rift, and it's just one-shotting everyone.
Yeah, that's I now understand why this champion is permaban.
Yes.
As Siebel, oh, the bye-bye health bar. Baloo Q to safety. Like, he actually was just like, nope, I'm out.
Oh.
Yep. That is not okay. That is just not an okay amount of damage. Super's still pouring in on the bot side, by the way. Now with Baron, Ruddy are on track for the fastest game of the season, taking down 1 inhibitor, taking down 2. There is no way we are having a sub 22-minute 3 inhibs down, right? It's happened. Oh my word. This might actually just be it. This might be the fastest game of the season. Ruddy putting their stamp down as the Twisted Advance advances forward. Zenboxy jumped onto, getting collapsed on. He's shut down, but meanwhile his team are being melted. There's the kill for No Name. A couple of glory kills to tidy this one out. And that is going to be it. 22 minutes on the clock. Are they going to be able to do it in under 23? I think the answer is bloody well yes. 22-30 on the dot as Ruddy take the win.
How can you even summarize that? I feel like, whilst expected, that was still surprising. Right?
That's how you summarize it.
You get Baron and you end in 2 minutes. I can't even remember the fight that happened because it felt like they just won one fight and then the game was completely over. And honestly,
it's going to be a very short replay package. I'll tell you that.
The game was not long, but you could see the power of draft, right? And I feel like this is a theme that keeps coming up. So many games, it feels like, are just won in draft in this league right now because either someone messes up or just the themes clash or the one draft just counters the other. And in this case, you have such a beautiful disengaged draft for Ruddy. Really props to whoever's drafting on the side of Ruddy because you draft pure disengage, really nice disengage into a full engaged team. You don't give them any lanes to play for. I think that's kind of on Nativz, but you don't give them any lanes to play for and you just outscale. There's nothing Nativz can do.
Yeah, no, that game was over before it began, mate. That was just, I mean, they gave the Maokai over. I mean, this ult here is, again, it's horrible. Look how much damage it does. It just, bam, bam. They literally just got run over by a sea of kittens.
Oh. Wow. Okay, you know, I wasn't sold on the Ruddy Jace before, but after this game, paired off with this Maokai, you know what? I'm sold. You know, normally I don't really like Jace. I don't really like Aurelia, these high volatility picks, because they're so easy to punish, but Nita really putting a shift as well. But No Name on this Maokai, I think takes the cake for me. I think it's really hard to pick an MVP. Who's your vote?
Oh, man. I don't know. Yeah, I guess No Name.
I think just for that Maokai ult, because it was hilarious, I think I'm going to vote No Name.
Honestly, that game was over so quick, nothing happened with MVP, right? Like, they just won. Yeah, I'm going to go No Name. I think I agree with you. We've been remarkably agreeable today in sync on our MVPs.
I think if I was doing it properly, I would probably vote Nita, but that Twisted Advance was so hilarious, I just couldn't. I can't not. It's so funny.
There you have it.
Nita did play very well.
We're in favor of environmentalism. The tree takes it.
True.
Yeah, that's our MVP. This is an incredibly hard game to break down. I think we can look at the positives, though. Ruddy now have qualified for playoffs off the back of this, so they're going to be very happy. We now have 3 teams locked into playoffs going forward. So playoffs, with these teams now locked in, I'm curious to see what they do with the next 4 games. Are they going to be experimental, or are they going to be about business as usual? Because remember, all 3 teams who are currently locked in are still playing for that upper part of the winners bracket. They don't want to be going into the losers. You want to win the winners game, then go straight into finals. You don't want to have to drop into losers, but even if you qualify for winners, you avoid one best of. So I feel like there's going to be an element of experimentation, but at the same time, I also low-key think we won't see, we're not going to see the Yasuo Dianas coming out for a bit of fun. I think we'll be seeing pretty serious teams getting drafted, because all of these teams still have a lot to lose by losing their next 4 games, right?
No, absolutely. And I do think the number one storyline to look out for, though, whilst it's really interesting to see where people seeded, I think number one storyline to look out for is that last playoff spots between Verdant and Vanilla. I think that's going to be incredibly high.
Well, we have an interview standing by with the jungle of the previous game. Sebo, how are you doing, mate? Obviously, a bit of a tough loss, a very, very fast game. How are you guys feeling after that one?
Yeah, not great. That was a bit tough, not gonna lie. That one hurt a bit. Hope for better, not gonna lie. But it's what it is.
It was a very interesting draft, because a lot of power picks were left open. I mean, we were talking. We think this might be the first Maokai me and Aragon have seen, or had been able to cast in the league. The Elise getting through as well. Some of it's obviously been recently pretty much permabanned. What was your thoughts in the draft? Because a lot was left open in that game. Did you just feel like the other bans were way more priority, or were you maybe planning on leaving the Maokai open and thinking you can handle it?
I think we just had a bigger problem with facing these champions in scrims, and we decided that we think it's easier to play this way. Like, if we just pick really aggressive laners and then we try to take control of the game, that might be a way to win. So that's kind of the thought process. I think Maokai, he wants to scale for 6, so that gives us a window to play early on. And yeah.
Rough loss, mate. But it sounds like you guys are still figuring things out, right? Yeah. Yes, it sounds like you said you were trying to figure out things in scrims. You said stuff was working for your scrims, it wasn't working for your scrims, playing strong lanes. Is that something you want to continue doing going forward? Or do you think after this loss, you're going to try shake things up again in practice?
No, I think.
Do you think Ruddy was maybe just way too good individually, or something like this?
I think there was a bit of that too, where they just kind of outplayed us. I think. So I do think we can continue with this and get success on this eventually. It's not everything we have. We practiced a few different things. I think we still have a couple cards up our sleeves, but probably continue.
Yeah, I just want to quickly. I just want to make a suggestion, mate. Okay, look. I'm telling you. Okay, here's the source, right? Get Spooder on Olaf, okay, when it's not banned, because they're having games where it's not banned, okay, and make an Enchanter Olaf comp and just let him run through the game. I'm telling you, that is what you got to do. Because I know Spooder will 1v9.
Okay.
Coach Aragon coming in with his opinion, eh?
I will take it up with the guys.
Good.
Before I let you go, I just want to get a quick kind of, I guess, a quick check in on you guys and how you're doing, because obviously it's been a pretty hard season. 0-10. You've got 4 games left. Nobody wants to go 0-14. I know you guys don't want to do that. How is the mood right now? It's obviously been a rough road so far. Are people still staying positive? Are you happy? Or, do you think, the losses are starting to pile up for you guys? How are you feeling?
I actually think we're handling it pretty well. The environment's really nice. We have a lot of fun when we play. We do our best, and I think we are learning. We're getting better. It's just maybe not at the rate it should be getting, but I think we are learning and getting better. And I think we will get some wins on the board. I'm pretty confident that we should be able to beat some of these teams, and at least look good or better than what we are now, because this is a bit embarrassing. But yeah.
I hope so, mate. Honestly, it's good to hear that you guys aren't, tearing your hair out of these losses, and you are taking it in your stride. Thank you very much for joining us. And hopefully we will speak to you on the winner's side of an interview in the future. We'll see you later, all right?
Yep.
And on the other side, we have Hidden here. How are you doing, mate? I think, don't quote me on this, but I do believe that was the fastest game of the split. I obviously assume you guys were expecting to win. Did you expect to win that one-sidedly though?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Not much to add.
Confident
I mean,
stuff.
there's not much to add.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. It was a very, very one-sided game. I mean, we're struggling to break it down because it was just like you guys had such crazy control over that.
Yeah.
Go on, Aragon. Go on.
Yeah. No, I just feel like they just had no win condition. Do you agree with me, Hidon? Like, I feel like you had a full neutralized bot lane, and they just had no way to bridge, do anything. You had full disengage, like a really good disengage comp into their engage. I just don't see how they ever play that game, and there was like a 10% win rate draft. Do you agree with me? Maybe I'm a bit off. I'm curious.
No, I mean, they have to get something off in the first sequence, which is obviously the first play they make. And if that doesn't work out, then they can't play the game. So it was over after they didn't get a dive option or 2v2 on mid. So it was, there's not much to say about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, looking forward, obviously you guys are now qualified for playoffs. Obviously your position within playoffs isn't locked in. I'm curious, what the next 4 games are going to look like the next 2 weeks. I can't remember who you're playing. You're playing Nord next week. So how is the prep towards playoffs going to look? Because obviously you don't have to worry about the regular season really, other than just placement points and like where you end up in playoffs. So what is the prep going to look like over the next couple of weeks? Do you think are we going to see anything fun, anything spicy and experimental, or do you think it's more of the same?
I mean, how we see it is we focus on ourselves. I cannot really see us losing another game because in the beginning we were really shit, right? Which is how it is. I have basically had 5 pretty relatively new players that needed a lot of time, and they needed to find a rhythm. And to do that, you need to create a really solid baseline. I call it like the floor ceiling, right? If you have a floor that you can't break through, you can always raise the ceiling. So initially what I aimed to do was create a really strong floor, and that has been accomplished. And I don't see any other NLC team being able to do that. So right now we're just aiming to clean up, and then it should be a clean ride from there.
I mean, very confident, Hidden. Thank you very much for joining us on the interview. Congratulations on yet another win. Hopefully we'll speak to you again soon. Until then, we'll see you later.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one.
Thank you.
You too, mate. See you later. We're wrapped up early, mate.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very, very quick day. Very, very quick day. I mean, we had 2 banger games. Domino versus Nord, Verdant versus Veneer. Really delivered. Really, really delivered. I know it was a tough loss for Domino, but it was an incredibly good game. We actually do have our MVP votes as well. So make sure you head over to social media and you can vote for one of our 4 players from the games who was your MVP of the day. I'm curious for your thoughts on this. Who was your MVP?
Yeah, I know who my MVP was, but I feel like we know who's going to win the poll, Who was my MVP? I think it was honestly who's probably going to win the poll. I think Akabane actually played really well. I think you can't deny the fact that he went 15-3, and kept finding plays. He will win the poll because he's Nord, but yeah, I think he deserves it this time.
I mean, also just that that three-man crippling strike into Gore Drinker, just absolutely disgusting. He played phenomenally well. Like, as much as you can say there's a very loaded fandom towards Nord right now, I actually think it's very earned in this game if he does take MVP of the day. I also do think Firen genuinely is low-key like the unsung, like the kind of runner-up for me in that one, because the amount of pressure he brought mid versus pool just won his team that game. Like, there was literally that Akali couldn't play.
That's true.
Because of that, their bot lane couldn't play. Like, he might have not been as flashy of a player, but like the impact he had in his individual game genuinely just won them that game. It was super, super good stuff, but really, really nice stuff coming out from them. Do we have the games for next Tuesday on a graphic? I am saying this without checking. That is on me. We'll find out. I'm hearing production sweating in my ear, so that's a no. I have the games, so don't worry. At least one of us is prepared, production. So coming up on Tuesday, we've got Ruddy versus Domino, Unique versus Veneer, Nativz versus Riddle, and Verdant versus Nord. They got some pretty good games. What one are you excited for?
Was it Unique versus Verdant?
Yeah,
Was that one?
no, Unique versus Veneer.
Veneer. Okay, that one too. I think Unique. Unique are so hard to pinpoint as well. I think they're the last team I'm not too sure on. But Unique have glimmers of hope if they embrace like putting Nihus on weak side and playing like they did before. I think then they could potentially take it to Veneer and ruin Veneer's chances to get playoffs.
Genuinely, I have 2 games in that list actually, which I'm very excited by. Ruddy Domino, just because Domino were absolute carnage today, and they could be a team that upset Ruddy. They don't care and they will fight. Ruddy also love fighting as well, so I think that is going to be a bloodbath of a game 1. But then I think the final game of the day is super important. Verdant versus Nord. Obviously, with the loss for Verdant today, this game is super important for them making playoffs. And like we were saying, they've got to play versus Ruddy, Riddle, and Nord. They've got such a hard last 3 games. I mean, their last game is Unique, so that's whatever. But like, they've got 3 really hard games, and they need to find a win in at least one of them, realistically. So I think that game is going to be a banger. I reckon Verdant are going to be prepping and scrimming their hearts out. So I think match of the day for me is going to be that final game. It's due to be a banger, but that is us done. I don't think there's anything more I need to talk about. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us here today at NLC. We'll be back Tuesday at the same time for more games as we kick off week 6 and our penultimate week of the season. I can't believe we're almost already done. It's been amazing. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Good night, and we'll see you next week.